What if the feeling that your life was never fully yours was the first sign that something had been shaping your destiny from the shadows? Not luck, not coincidence, but a frequency, a silent, intelligent vibration woven into the fabric of your subconscious mind, your emotions, your choices, your entire identity. Before we go any further, breathe, because what you're about to hear is not a story about someone else. It's the echo of something you've felt your entire life. That strange pull inside your chest, that sudden déjà vu, that moment where the world around you stopped and you couldn't explain why. You've always known there was a hidden truth behind this reality, a sensation that your consciousness is connected to something beyond the physical, something ancient, precise, and impossibly intentional. And tonight, for the first time, you'll understand why. Imagine this, a quiet room, no sound, no movement, yet the air feels alive. The light flickers, not because of electricity, but because the energy field around you shifts. Your skin tingles as if touched by a force that shouldn't exist, a vibration that seems to know you, to recognize you. This is where it began for him, and where it begins for you. Not with a vision, not with a miracle, but with a frequency so subtle that most people spend their entire lives ignoring it, even as it shapes every decision, every relationship, every twist of destiny unfolding in front of them. You've felt it too, haven't you? That invisible pressure guiding you towards something you couldn't name. The sudden urge to change your life, out of nowhere. The quiet voice in the back of your mind whispering that the world is not what it seems. The sense that your life is synchronizing with events too perfect to be random. Welcome to the edge of the quantum consciousness, the space where the physical world dissolves and the hidden architecture of your reality begins to reveal itself. Because behind everything you think you chose, there is something choosing with you. Scientists call it the field of information. Mystics call it the hidden truth. You might have called it intuition. But the truth is far more unsettling. There is a quantum frequency that interacts with your subconscious mind long before you're aware of it. It shapes your perception. It influences your emotions. It bends your path in directions that make no sense, until you look back years later and realize that every impossible coincidence was actually a breadcrumb left by something intelligent, something watching, something waiting for you to wake up. And the strangest part, you've always known. A part of you has felt this frequency since childhood, the part of you that never fully adapted to the world, that questioned everything, that sensed energies you couldn't explain, that picked up emotions that weren't yours. That part of you wasn't broken, it was awakened. Tonight, as you listen to this story, you'll begin to notice the patterns that were always there, the flickers in your memory, the emotional shifts, the unexplained attractions and repulsions, the moments where destiny felt rehearsed rather than spontaneous. Because the truth is simple and terrifying and liberating all at once. You are not just living in a reality, you are resonating with it. Every thought, every fear, every dream sends ripples into the quantum field, and that field answers. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. This is the story of the frequency that silently rewrites lives, and why it chose this exact moment to reveal itself to you. A story that begins long before he realized what was happening, and that will end only when you understand what has been happening to you. And now, ask yourself one final question, the one your soul has avoided for years. What if this frequency has been shaping your life, and you never noticed? As you listen, notice what's happening inside you, not the thoughts, but the subtle shift beneath them, that quiet sense of recognition, almost as if something in you has been waiting for this moment, not to learn something new, but to remember what it already knew. This is how awakening usually begins, softly, internally, without fireworks, just a quiet understanding that you're finally hearing something that feels like truth. And before we go deeper into this story, and we will, let me say something important in a calm, straightforward way. This channel is building a space for people who feel this same pull toward the hidden layers of consciousness, the mechanics of the quantum field, the frequency behind the patterns of life. When you like a video, comment, or subscribe here, it's not about boosting numbers. It's about strengthening a community of people who are waking up to the same reality you are sensing right now. So if something in this message resonated with you, if it made you feel seen, understood, or simply curious, take a moment to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment sharing what stood out to you. Not for me, but so the algorithm knows this type of content matters. And so more people who are searching for answers quietly, just like you once were, can find their way here. All right, breathe. We're about to continue the story, and what's coming next goes even deeper. And when this video ends, there's something waiting for you. A truth about vibration and the future that most people never hear in their lifetime. He didn't notice it at first. It was just a faint vibration in the air, a quiet pulse that didn't belong to the room he was standing in. It wasn't sound, not exactly. It was more like a presence weaving itself through the space around him, brushing against his skin in a way that made every hair rise as if the atmosphere itself had memory. He paused, expecting the moment to fade, but instead the sensation deepened. The silence became heavy, almost intelligent, like something inside it was trying to speak without words. And then came the déjà vu, that unsettling feeling of having lived this exact second before, not once but many times, in dreams he could never fully remember upon waking. He looked around, not sure why he suddenly felt observed, as if a pair of unseen eyes were studying him from the folds of reality. It grew stronger over the next days, numbers repeating everywhere he turned, the same sequence appearing on clocks, receipts, street signs, synchronicities stacking on top of each other with such precision that coincidence stopped being a reasonable explanation. He began waking in the middle of the night with the same dream echoing through his mind, a dream where an invisible current moved under everything, connecting people, choices, and moments like threads of a hidden fabric. And in the quiet hours of dawn, he could almost sense the vibrational field shifting, as if some quantum frequency was pushing against the edges of his perception, asking to be noticed. The more he tried to ignore it, the stronger it became. His subconscious mind started responding before he consciously understood anything. A pull in his chest when he walked into certain places, a strange clarity when he met certain people. Emotional waves rising out of nowhere, as if his inner world was sinking with an energy he couldn't see, but could undeniably feel. It was the beginning of a quiet awakening, the kind that doesn't arrive through dramatic revelations but through small, persistent signals that refuse to be dismissed. Maybe it has happened to you too, that moment when the hidden layers of the quantum field brush against your awareness and you realize that reality is not as solid, not as random, not as separate as you once believed. And in those moments of heightened perception, he began to understand that something was guiding him, rearranging the pieces of his life with impossible coordination. But the real turning point came on a night when the sensation became so intense, it felt like the room itself was breathing with him. The air thickened, the energy around him tightening like a loop being pulled into place, and for the first time he felt the frequency not as an idea but as a force, intelligent, precise, unmistakably real. It was the moment he understood that what seemed like a series of strange events was actually the beginning of something much larger, a pattern unfolding with intention, a doorway opening without permission. Before we continue, if any part of this feels familiar, even in the smallest way, consider taking a moment to like this video, subscribe, and share your experience in the comments. It's not about numbers. It's about strengthening a space where these conversations matter, where people who feel these subtle shifts can find clarity, connection, and community. Your engagement helps this message reach others who are going through the same quiet awakening and don't yet have the words for it. And as this story deepens, understand that what happened next was not coincidence. It was the moment the frequency revealed its true nature, and everything he thought he understood about reality began to unravel. The shift he felt that night was only the surface of something far more intricate, something that modern science has been circling for decades without fully naming. When the air thickened and the atmosphere tightened around him, what he experienced was not imagination or coincidence. It was the first real interaction between his awareness and a deeper layer of the quantum field, the same field that physicists like Penrose and Hameroff describe as the hidden foundation of consciousness itself. In that moment, his perception expanded just enough for his subconscious mind to register what his logical mind still couldn't grasp. A frequency was interacting with him, reorganizing his internal state long before he had words for it. Greg Braden has spent years explaining how emotion and energy intertwine with coherent fields, and how human hearts can detect subtle changes in the vibrational environment before the brain is even aware. Bruce Lipton talks about how the subconscious mind operates like a receiver, tuning into patterns of information that shape behavior and identity. And Joe Dispenza describes how coherent frequencies can shift neural pathways, opening space for new realities to emerge. What he felt that night aligns with all of them. His thoughts hadn't changed yet, but something in the deeper layers of his being had already begun to move. His emotional patterns started shifting, as if an external intelligence was quietly guiding him toward a new version of himself. He didn't know it then, but the frequency had already begun rearranging the architecture of his life. People he once felt drawn to suddenly felt distant. Situations that seemed random revealed hidden threads of meaning. Moments of clarity appeared out of nowhere, not as thoughts but as sensations. Warmth in the chest, pressure in the solar plexus, a pull behind the eyes as if his perception was being recalibrated. The world around him remained the same, yet everything felt different. The quantum consciousness that so many spiritual traditions speak of wasn't an abstract idea anymore. It was alive inside his awareness, whispering through synchronicities that became too precise to ignore. The more he paid attention, the clearer the pattern became. The frequency didn't speak in words. It spoke in alignment, the right conversation, the unexpected message, the sudden feeling to go somewhere without knowing why, the emotional shift that made no logical sense but changed everything. The HeartMath Institute calls this coherent intelligence, a form of communication between the vibrational field and human perception. And that's exactly what he was experiencing, a pull from beyond the visible world guiding him to break from old cycles and step into a hidden version of himself he hadn't discovered yet. There's a moment in every awakening when intuition stops feeling like guesswork and starts feeling like truth. He reached that moment quietly, internally, when he finally accepted that the events unfolding around him weren't random. They were invitations, signals calling him to rise above the surface of ordinary life and step into the deeper layers of his own consciousness. And maybe, if you're honest with yourself, you've felt this too. Maybe the repeated numbers, the sudden emotions, the impossible coincidences, the dreams that feel like memories. All of it has been building toward a moment just like this. Before we move forward, if any part of this resonates with what you've lived, even slightly, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment. It strengthens this space of shared awareness and helps more people who are going through this same shift find clarity instead of confusion. And if you felt these signals yourself, comment, "I've felt it," so we can see how many of us are waking up together. What happened next in his journey wasn't gentle. It was the moment the frequency stopped whispering and finally revealed its true intention. He woke the next morning with a strange clarity, the kind that doesn't come from rest, but from some internal rearrangement he couldn't explain. The room felt different, lighter somehow, as if the air had been purified overnight. His perception was sharper, colors seemed more defined, sounds carried subtle tones he had never noticed before, and even his own thoughts felt quieter, more spacious. Something in him had shifted, not dramatically, but undeniably. It was the beginning of his quantum awakening, the moment when the vibrational change within his subconscious finally surfaced into awareness. He didn't choose this shift, it chose him, and his entire emotional landscape began to move in harmony with it. At first he thought he was imagining the coincidences that followed, but when people he hadn't spoken to in years suddenly reached out, when conversations aligned perfectly with questions he had held in silence, when opportunities appeared with impossible timing, he realized he was interacting with a hidden reality he had never been taught to see. The frequency wasn't just influencing his perception, it was restructuring the architecture of his life one moment at a time. His relationships shifted naturally, as if the energy around him was rearranging who belonged in his path and who didn't. His intuition sharpened until it felt less like guessing and more like remembering. He began sensing emotional currents before people spoke, feeling energy before words, understanding intentions through subtle changes in vibration. The world around him had not changed, but his internal state had transformed so completely that reality itself seemed to reorganize. This is what happens when the subconscious mind aligns with a higher frequency. The emotional noise dissolves, old identidades lose their weight, and a new sense of proposito begins to emerge from the quiet. And the most powerful part is that he didn't force any of it. It unfolded the same way a seed breaks open underground before anyone can see the growth happening. His dreams became vivid and symbolic, not chaotic but guiding, the same recurring imagery returning night after night, as if encoded with messages he was finally ready to interpret. He felt presentimentos that directed him away from situations that would have drained him, and toward experiences that expanded his conscientia. The expansion didn't feel mystical. It felt inevitable. Days became a tapestry of synchronicities woven so tightly that the probability of chance collapsed. Every time he tried to dismiss an event, another one would occur with even greater precision, reinforcing the truth he could no longer deny. He wasn't walking through life. He was being guided through it. The energy shift was real, intelligent, and deeply intentional. And if your life has been moving in strange ways lately, if you felt relationships dissolving without explanation, emotions rising from nowhere, opportunities appearing with uncanny timing, then you're not imagining it either. When the frequency touches you, it begins a subconscious transformation long before the conscious mind can understand what is happening. Before we follow his journey deeper into this unfolding, I want to invite you to engage with this space in a way that supports your own expansion as well as the collective awakening happening here. If this resonates with you in any way, if it mirrors something in your own experience, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your presence helps strengthen this community and allows this message to reach those who are silently experiencing the same shift. Your engagement is part of the energy we build together, part of the transformation we're creating in real time. Now breathe and notice what rises inside you, because what comes next is not random. It's the moment when the frequency reveals its intention with absolute clarity, and his life crosses a threshold he cannot return from. And the real question now is this: what if this frequency isn't just transforming one life, but calling yours as well? He felt the shift before he understood it. It wasn't dramatic or loud. It was subtle, like a thread being pulled from deep inside his chest, loosening something that had been tight for years. It was the first moment he realized the frequency wasn't here to show him a different world. It was here to show him himself, without the noise, without the stories, without the patterns his subconscious mind had been repeating for so long. And as the days moved forward, he began to recognize the quiet power of this change. His perception sharpened, not outwardly, but inwardly. He started noticing the spaces between thoughts, the pauses between emotions, the moments where consciousness rises before the mind reacts. That's when he understood that awakening doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives with presence. Every part of his life began reflecting this expansion. Conversations felt different, as if the words he spoke carried weight beyond the surface. Ordinary moments seemed layered with meaning he couldn't deny. Even silence felt alive, humming with the subtle vibration of something guiding him from within. He realized the frequency had never been outside him. It had always been woven into the very fabric of his energy. What changed was his capacity to perceive it, and that shift created a ripple across his entire reality. The more he leaned into this awareness, the more the quantum field responded. Opportunities aligned with impossible timing. Emotional wounds began dissolving without effort. Intuition became instruction. Purpose stopped being a question and became a direction. This was the beginning of a new consciousness, not imagined but embodied. A state where he could feel the hidden layers of the quantum field moving around him, interacting with him, calling him to step into a version of himself that had been dormant, waiting for this exact moment. All the synchronicities, all the dreams, all the strange sensations that once confused him now made sense. They weren't random. They were signals, placed with precision to lead him toward this awakening. And standing in that awareness, he finally saw the truth. The frequency doesn't control your life. It amplifies the parts of you that are ready to emerge. The revelation didn't arrive in words. It arrived in a feeling, clean, unmistakable, expansive. Suddenly he understood why everything had happened the way it did, why every coincidence had felt like choreography, why every loss had opened space for something greater. His life wasn't unraveling, it was reorganizing. And that realization became the catalyst for a deeper transformation, one that touched every corner of his identity, every belief, every unconscious pattern he once thought defined him. This was not the end of his journey. It was the moment he stepped into the truth of who he had always been beneath the conditioning, the doubt, the fear, a being of frequency, perception, and consciousness, navigating a reality far more connected and intelligent than he had ever imagined. And maybe you can feel a part of that inside yourself right now. Maybe something in you is shifting as you listen, responding to a memory your mind forgot but your energy never did. That's how awakening works. It doesn't arrive from the outside. It rises from within, in quiet waves that slowly reveal the reality you were always meant to see. The frequency doesn't change the world, it changes you. And when you change, everything around you begins to reorganize in ways that defy logic and follow the deeper intelligence of the quantum field. And if I told you that your vibration, the exact vibration you're feeling in your body right now, is already shaping your future? In the next video, I'll show you the truth behind that, and why understanding it will shift the way you see every choice you make from this moment forward. Before we continue, if this message touched something real inside you, take a moment to support this space. Like the video, subscribe, and share your experience in the comments. And if you're feeling the frequency right now, comment, "I awaken," "I see beyond," or "I am expanding," so we can see how many of us are rising together. And as you arrive at this point in the journey, there's one truth I want you to carry with complete clarity. Nothing you felt throughout this video was random. The shifts in your perception, the subtle movements in your energy, the quiet recognition inside your subconscious mind, these are the first signs of expansion, the first signals that your consciousness is beginning to align with a deeper layer of the quantum field. This is why, before you step into the next part of the path, I want to speak to you in a grounded and honest way. This channel exists to support people who feel these inner movements, who sense the vibration of their life changing, who know that the hidden architecture of reality is far more alive than what we were taught to believe. When you like this video, when you subscribe, when you add your voice in the comments, you're not just interacting, you're amplifying a frequency that helps others find the clarity you found here. So if something in you awakened during this experience, if your awareness opened even slightly, take a moment to consciously support this space. Like the video to signal to the algorithm that this kind of content matters. Subscribe so you can continue walking with us through this expansion of consciousness. And if you feel called to mark this moment in your own energetic journey, leave a comment using a phrase that resonates with your inner state. You can write, "I awaken," "I continue," or "I see beyond." These aren't just words, they're declarations of presence, reflections of a deeper shift happening inside you right now. Take a breath and keep yourself open, because what comes next goes even further. In the next video, you'll discover how your vibration, exactly the one you're holding in this moment, is already shaping the path ahead of you, influencing possibilities in ways most people never learn to perceive. Don't stop here. Move forward. The next step in your awakening is waiting for you.